All right, everybody, and welcome to Friday's episode of Spilling the Anxietea. Juggling this podcast and everything else in my life has been kind of, it's been a little bit overwhelming. I would love for this to be the only thing that I do, but it doesn't make money. It doesn't make money yet, so I do have to focus on other things, but I'm trying really hard to stay consistent, and I hope that someone out there appreciates it, because I have a good topic for you guys today, for that soul listener. So I wanted to talk about this on Wednesday, but as evidenced by my rage against the Uvalde school shooting, I strayed away from it, but I think it kind of connects well. So today I want to talk about teen anxiety. Now, I feel like my podcast is about my struggles with mental health, but it also comes off kind of as a platform for all the things I guess I feel like bitching about. It's weird because, and my blog is, all of this is supposed to be, it's not supposed to be a guide on how to get better with mental health, because the reality of it is I struggle with mental health every day and I have no idea how the hell to get better. This is an outlet for me to feel better. This is an outlet for other people to know what's going on in my mind, what causes me anxiety, what gives me these feelings, in the hopes that if somebody else is going through it, they can understand that they're not alone. I want to talk today about teen anxiety. Now, my anxiety wasn't, as a teenager, I didn't realize that I was struggling with anxiety. And of course, there are experiences as an adult that made my anxiety and depression worse. But as a teenager, I did not know that this was a mental health struggle. And I certainly did not know that it was something that I would be experiencing for life. My podcast majority comes across as maybe experiences with failed love, experiences with parenting, experiences with pregnancy, a lot of things. And it may come off as a very adult podcast show. I mean, I do cuss a lot. But I want to focus on teenagers today because my quest is to help everybody who struggles with mental health. And I think that children with anxiety and teenagers with anxiety is a very real thing. And I think that a lot of people assume that it's not because, well, children are children. They haven't really seen stuff yet. And I hear all the time. I heard it all the time growing up. I heard it, not just in reference to me, but also in others, TV shows, to others, or in TV shows or whatever, that kids don't have anything to be stressed about. I mean, wait until you get to be an adult and you pay bills and you get heartbreak and all this other shit. And it's like, yeah, but they don't yet. So it's okay to panic about shit that maybe to you it may not seem like a big deal, but to that person it is. And I think that encompasses a lot of children and teenagers. So welcome to my... Oh my God, I was going to say like my teen friendly episode, but I've already cussed like 7 times. So I'm sorry. From here on out, I will do my best to keep it clean. And let's go with TV-14, maybe PG-13 if I get a good handle on it. So stay tuned. When we come back, I'm going to talk about my experience as a teenage girl with anxiety. All right, everybody, and we're back. Okay, this is going to be a good one. So it is no secret, I'm 27 years old. I just turned 27. I have 3 children, and I have 2 girls. And honestly, I know that a lot of people like, let's stop gender stereotyping. Boys go through just as much as girls do, and boys can get just as sexually assaulted as, girls do. Which is in fact true, and if anything, when it happens to boys, it goes drastically underreported. But as a female, while I will try to sympathize with the struggles that my son will go through, I can directly empathize. I can empathize what he goes through, but I will be able to sympathize with my daughters, what they will go through. And for those of you that don't know the difference, Empathy is the experience of being able to understand somebody without necessarily having been through what they go through. Which is why, for those of you guys that don't know, I'm a huge Charmed fan. And Charmed, on the original Charmed, not the new one, with Alyssa Milano and Holly Marie Combs, Phoebe becomes an empath. And it takes her a long time to hone into this, because an empath is being able to directly connect to what somebody else is feeling and understand what they're feeling, even if you haven't personally gone through it. Now, sympathy is where you can say, oh my God, I know exactly how much that sucks because that same thing happened to me. Now, I'll be able to empathize with my son because he will go through similar struggles. I mean, heartbreak is the same. Heartbreak is not the same. Damn, I already messed up. Okay, heartbreak is not the same, I don't believe, for male and females, but I do believe that the premise is generally the same. Losing a love. That's what I mean by it's the same. Nobody bite my head off here. Things like having to experience going to school, losing friends. It may be different to each gender, but generally, most people can say that they've all experienced the loss of a friend or how hard, bullying or anything like that was. But with my girls, I don't understand how it's possible that some parents can raise their children and absolutely forget what it was like as a teenager. Like, some of y'all ain't even that old. I mean, I'm 27 and my oldest kid is 5, which means that, give or take 10 years, I don't believe that in 10 years I'm going to forget how rough 10 years ago was for me. And I think that there's some things that I wish my mom had understood, because as parents, we have this, a lot of us, not to say all, express our fear through anger. So when your kid falls and they get hurt, you as the parent get in, well, you shouldn't have been jumping on the couch. What the hell did you do that for? You go ahead and you drop yourself on that couch one more time, or you drop yourself on the floor one more time, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit you right where it hurts. I know everybody's heard it. Whether you're the parent who says it or whether you've heard it before, I know everybody has. As a parent, we express our fear through anger. And that's normal in a way. It's actually more expressive that you don't know how to convey your fear. It's actually more indicative of communication issues. But I think that when our kids mess up, when our teenagers mess up, we get mad at them when it's really just we're scared of what could happen. So, for example, as a teenager, God, my mom got upset with me a lot. Okay, a lot. And it wasn't until I was an adult that there were some times where I was just like there were things that weren't exactly what I did. I know I tortured my mom a lot as a teenager. I was a smart ass for absolutely no reason. And I really did believe that because I knew my intentions weren't bad, that, I always used to think, oh, God, my mom is super upset for absolutely no reason. I'm a responsible teenager. I work. I don't stay out until 3 a.m. I'm always home when I'm supposed to be. So I cut class. So I'm friends with somebody she doesn't want me being friends with. I don't smoke weed. I don't get drunk. I don't do any of those things. And I'm definitely not bringing home any babies. So I don't understand why my mom would be so upset with me. But the reality of it is that cutting class and, pretending to be an adult, and my mom used to go to work. If my mom went to work from let's say 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I didn't ask her permission to go outside, especially when I was a teenager, I would just make sure that everything that I had to do in the house that she asked me to do would be done. And then I would step out from, let's say, 12 to 5. And I would go to Manhattan and I would hang out, I would hang out with with Carrie, or, I would just go outside and do something, go get something to eat. I just didn't want to be home. And I don't think my mom understood that because I had no siblings and I was somebody who really didn't have any friends that was important to me. But to go outside of the house, I had to have like everything done. And I didn't really enjoy it. And this is before a job, because after I got a job at 16, the only time that I stepped out of the house on my free time was to go work. I pretty much spent all of my time working. So it was kind of, and then I got to this point, got worse after I started working, because then it was like, how is it possible that I can go to school and I'm 16, I'm going to school, I have a job that I don't get out of until 9 p.m. And yet somehow I still have a curfew of like 8 p.m. on my off days, and I don't have more responsibility. Like, now I have money in my pocket and I'm showing that I can hold down everything, and I ended up graduating high school on time. So why are all these things a big deal? Oh, well, I'm supposed to take out the garbage in the house? Why? I go to school and work. You just work. Why is it that you can't take out the trash? I really had this mentality. As a teenager, I was awful. But as an adult now, I do understand the frustration when you feel like your kid just, they don't know. They don't know yet. And like, I'm going through this right now with my 3-year-old, right? I have a rule in my house. My rule is you only get your tablet. You can get your tablet after you come home from school. You will not, you can enjoy it as much as you want on pre-approved apps. But when it's time for me to say, hey, take a bath, it's time to go to sleep, then, you give up the tablet, let it charge for the night. The only time that you can get your tablet when you lay down in bed is on Friday and Saturday. Because on Friday and Saturday, you don't have school the next day. Sunday through Thursday, there is absolutely no screen time in your bed. I don't care. You have a set amount of hours to which you can use the tablet. Every single night, she cries about it. Every single night. She understands my rule. My rule has been in effect for quite some time. But just recently, like a week ago, she starts wailing for an hour every single night. And it annoys the hell out of me. Now, I understand that she is upset that she can't get something that she wants. She sees that when I go to my bed, or when I'm chilling out or hanging out, or I go to my room, if she steps into my room for some reason now after hours, she sees that I've got the TV on, or I'm on my phone playing a game, or whatever it may be. She doesn't understand that, quite frankly, the reason why I'm telling her she can't have it versus why I do. And I'm not trying to say, well, I'm an adult so I can do whatever I want. But the reality of it is I spend most of my day chasing after my children. I'm not chilling out. I'm not relaxing. I'm either doing this podcast or I'm doing work or whatever it is. That's my wind down time. The same way that she gets her wind down time after school. She doesn't understand the difference. And she's kind of just like, well, I don't get it. And I'm like, okay, I've tried explaining it to her. I've tried telling her, listen, you're going to get this tablet tomorrow. And she really just doesn't care. Now, I try to sympathize with her or empathize with her because I understand that to her it's just like, but I just want to have fun. I just want to, I don't want to lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I want to enjoy this as much as possible before I'm tired and can't enjoy it anymore. And then tomorrow's another day. She doesn't like having those boundaries, and she doesn't know how to express that as effectively as I do, so she cries for an hour and a half every night. So, as a teenager, it only gets worse. Because maybe, at least as a child, you have as a child, you don't fully know how to express it, but it's kind of just like you cry because you're sad, you laugh because you're happy or whatever it is. As a teenager, everything is so jumbled the hell up. And I'm sure all my teens, if you're listening, you can agree. It's this place where you're like figuring out who you are, figuring out who your friends are. You think that you have more knowledge than anybody else because you've seen all the examples, yet you still get duped into the dumb shit because things evolve every day. They really do. You got full-blown adults out here getting into Bitcoin scams and losing money and all that other jazz. And even as adults, even though we know, we've been warned, we've been told that scams out there exist, the scams are getting smarter and the adults, quite frankly, aren't. And so you get mad because you tell your kid, I know how this is going to turn out. I know the answer. Why the hell won't you just take my word from it? Because if anything, I'm supposed to be the person that you trust the most. And that right there is where parents make a mistake. Disagree all you want. That is most definitely where parents fuck up. Okay? Parents are under the assumption that you tell your child that they're not supposed to do something, or your teenager. You tell your teenager that, listen, I know how this is going to turn out. Trust me, this is the right answer. And because you are the person that birthed them, or because you are their parent, that they're supposed to inherently trust you because they've known you forever. But what have you done to earn their trust? I didn't trust my mom at all growing up. And I wish I had. I cannot say that it was one of those things that I knew that if I did something wrong, my mom would be upset. That's where my lack of trust came in. It wasn't something that we would sit down and talk about. It was not effectively. Anyway, it would turn into a screaming match. And I didn't want to disappoint my mom. And it didn't occur to me that lying to my mom, if she found out that I was lying, would further disappoint her. But she was not somebody I felt like I could talk to. She wasn't. And a lot of people, a lot of parents don't understand that. Just because you've been there, it doesn't mean sometimes you got to pick your battles. And I think the same exists for relationships. It exists for friendships. Sometimes you've got to decide what's worth pursuing and what's not. Not everything is a hill to die on. Not in relationships this intricate. You cannot make every argument a hill to die on. So for example, if you're coexisting with somebody and you know that they leave the cap off of the toothpaste. I don't know. For some people, that would be a really big deal. But if you know that generally they're a nice person, this is just one of their flaws, you know that they're never going to learn, is that really the hill you want to die on? Creating a huge issue over the cap on the toothpaste? Again, like I said, for some people it may be a big deal. I'm just using it as an example. For me, that wouldn't be the biggest deal. For me, that's why the hell opposites attract. I'm going to put the toothpaste pack on the cap. It's going to be annoying, but whatever. Now, something like staying out 5 nights a week until 2 a.m., that's a hill I'll die on. That's a problem that needs to stop. So parents need to understand that in order to gain trust from their teenager, to get whatever it is that you want from them, you need to be trustworthy. And if my daughter came to me and told me, Mom, I really like this boy, he's really nice, and he's cute, XYZ, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. And let's say she's 12. I have 2 ways that I could go about this. I can either blow up and say, you're only 12 years old. Why the hell are you liking boys? When have you been alone with him? And all this other stuff. And I don't ever want you to see him again because you know what? You should be focusing on your studies and that's it, XYZ. All of that is true and all of those are things that I would be feeling. But in order for my daughter to understand that she can come to me about boys that she likes and that she can come to me and discuss these things and seek advice, that is not a hill that I'm ready to die on. I would have to swallow that, pick that battle and decide, okay, well, she's being honest with me. She's coming to me and telling me. So how do I maneuver this in a way that it's like she understands what my concerns are, but I'm still like, you know what, baby? I get it. You're growing up. You're getting older. You're going to be interested in boys. Because that creates a fear of, first off, you're not going to trust me and come to me again. And then that makes you think that what you're doing is wrong. And it's not wrong. It's perfectly normal for 12-year-old girls to like boys. So I feel like that's a huge disparity in teenagers now. You know, you don't trust your parent at all. And so in turn, you start hiding things. And then while you're not picking your battles, they're picking theirs. And I promise you, almost all of their battles are fought in secret. You don't tell your parents until the shit has hit the fan twice over, because the first time you think you can fix it without getting in trouble. There are legitimate teens out there that do not go to their parents with shit that's like life threatening, because they're more afraid of their parents' reaction than the thing that is about to cost them their life. I see it all the time on Law & Order SVU. You got kids that they are living a secret life, engaging in sexual activities for money or for gifts or to live a lavish lifestyle. That child has gone missing, has been assaulted, possibly could have been killed. And what does the parent always say? My child? Oh, God, no. You must be talking about the wrong child, because Susie would never do that. And then you find out that Susie's been living a life prostituting herself since she was 13 in exchange for cool clothes and whatever. And now she's like pregnant with the child of Jesus because that's what her youth leader told her. I don't know, whatever. I'm probably mixing up storylines there, but there you go. I have seen it plenty of times. I have seen it in real life. But for example, how many episodes are there of, it's on House MD. It's on Law and Order. It's on Criminal Minds, whatever. You see a young lady who had a baby in secret, threw the baby in the dumpster, or goes to the hospital in labor. Nobody knows what the hell is happening. Some real I didn't know I was pregnant stuff. And it is legitimately because, I think there was this episode of House, or this happened to some girl. She literally like sat down and had a baby in like a trap house and kept going about her day, and they found the baby and they're like trying to treat him. And you know, they're wondering what happened. This girl hid a pregnancy from her parents and abandoned a child because she didn't want to get in trouble with her parents. She spent 9 months lying to her parents, going through a pregnancy by herself, which, God, I do not recommend it to anybody. She went through a pregnancy by herself, didn't tell anybody, went through all of these symptoms by herself, didn't get the appropriate care, which could have put her child in jeopardy, and then had the child in secret and then left it for dead in a trap house. Mind you, please, adults, take into account everything I just said. As a matter of fact, teenagers are going to hear that and be like, oh, that shit is stupid. But I've seen it personally. I've seen it in person. People who are pregnant and do not want to tell their parents for fear of repercussions. So instead they risk their own life and that of their unborn child to keep everything a secret. And honestly, all of that is out of fear. Why couldn't your child trust you? Why did your child feel that you would throw them out of the house? Or whatever it is that they thought the repercussions would be. Why was your disappointment so great that they felt like they had to risk multiple lives in order to hide this? It's crazy. But people don't understand what the hell that's like. I remember my very first heartbreak. My God, just thinking about it now just makes me both mad. It makes me mad at myself. It makes me mad at the boy. It makes me mad at my mom. It makes me mad at everything. You know, I really like this boy, and if I'm looking to be honest, I was pressured into a lot of things that I didn't want because this boy was a little bit older than me, about a year older, and I just thought that it was the way to be cool. I thought it was the only way I could get him to like me. And it was something that I didn't discuss with my mom. I didn't even tell my mom that I liked somebody because that kind of pressure was just so intense. My mom would never let me discover for myself how I felt about somebody, she would, just be there and suffocating, and I didn't want that. I wanted something for me. I wanted to figure things out for myself. And my relationship with my mother at the time was just that she was perpetually angry all of the time, and I just didn't want me liking a boy for the first time to be an angry experience. I told somebody, I told my mom's best friend's nephew about this guy. And I remember telling you guys that I had a problem with lying because I very much so wanted attention. I knew this guy liked me. And so, but I didn't like him. And I told him that I was more involved than I was with the boy. Just to kind of get him off my back a little bit, and kind of for him to be jealous enough to back off. Joke's on me, because he got so jealous that he decided to tell his aunt, to snitch on me to his aunt, who was my mother's best friend, and then my mother's best friend went ahead and told my mom that I was involved to this degree with this boy. Right then and there, everything died. Okay, from then on, it became a huge thing where the parents were involved. Long story short, I was not allowed to see this boy again. And that hurt. That really hurt, because for me at the time, I didn't even really, it was more like I felt like I had given a piece of myself to this person, and it was the first thing I could consider a relationship, which at 13, liking a boy and potentially exploring what that means, it is young, but to like a boy, it's not young. To be pressured into what I felt I was being pressured to, I was very young. But just liking a boy, kissing a boy, I didn't think at the time that it was, even now, I don't think that it's like the end. Like, if my daughter came to me at 13 and told me she had her first kiss, oh God, I would probably die inside a little bit. But I would just try to foster a sense of, okay, let's just take this one step at a time. I'm happy that you're happy, but how about let's explore what that could potentially mean. God, even thinking about it is giving me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Let's take a quick break, and then we will come back for the second half of the segment. All right, y'all, we're back. Had to go ahead and take a sip of water and get that taste out of my mouth. At the time, after my mom says, I can't see this boy anymore, my mom put a physical barrier between me and this person because she was concerned about, now mind you, I'm telling you guys this now that I felt very pressured into it. And I want to make it very clear. I do not think that it was this boy's fault. I think that he was just going with what he wanted to do, and I was not clear at all in expressing the fact that that was not something I was interested in. I was more focused on, if I don't do this, he's not going to like me. At no point was he being forceful or abusive. So the relationship was actually in good terms. The situationship was in good terms when my mom stepped in and was like, you're not allowed to see him anymore. To my mother's knowledge, this was a decision that I had made. And in turn, she said I was not allowed to see this person anymore. That was devastating to me, because this was what I felt or what I experienced as my first relationship. And then my mother came in swift as an axe and terminated it. And so my mom spent a long time mad at me. If we're looking to be honest, I'm talking about I was 12 or 13 at the time. I'm now 27, and my mother still thinks. Now, my mother still thinks. My mother is, for her, this was a huge betrayal on my end. Which was liking a boy and, doing whatever. So at the time, my mother was furious with me. It took months for us to get to a point where we were talking on good terms again. And even then, this was still something that was always in the back of her mind. I didn't have any siblings at home. At the time, I was being very much so bullied at school, so I didn't have any friends. I didn't have the boy anymore. And me and my mom were just not on good terms. So I was experiencing this heartbreak entirely alone. Now, my mom, I remember her telling me very clear, you don't even know what love is. You don't even know how to wipe your ass right yet. Which, again, is I know something everybody's heard from their parents. You can't wipe your ass right, and you're out here talking about you in love. It was still devastating to me. The worst part about it is that at that moment that I learned that it became a fear giving myself to somebody knowing that that person wouldn't be there forever. There was not an opportunity for the relationship to run its course. There was not an opportunity for me to value I felt like I'd been assaulted indirectly. Like I had given something up and then I was left feeling bereft. For my first time ever experiencing anything like that, kissing and really exploring what it meant to touch somebody or be with somebody. These were things that it was a level of vulnerability that was huge to me. And my mother came in and severed that. I have never had this conversation with my mother because I don't think that it would be productive. But genuinely, that's how I felt. Now, I would, from that experience, what I learned, and I hope that this holds true in 10 years. Thank God for the internet immortalizing people, because I really hope that if I ever act the opposite of what I'm about to say, that my children pull this up and be like, hey mom, here you go. This is what you said. I would hope that when my daughters come to me, or my son, and says to me, or if I even find out that they were in a secret relationship and things may have gotten to a certain point and maybe it's not working anymore, or even before it gets to the point where it's not working anymore, if they choose to confide in me, I only hope that I can navigate that as a parent and as a confidant, where it could be like, listen, this is what I know is best for you, and I really hope that you listen to me, and if not, I hope that you at least navigate with this in your mind. And, we need to go through the appropriate measures. I need to know who this person's parents are. You guys are only allowed to be in blah, blah, XYZ space, supervised or whatever it is, and facilitate my child exploring this without blowing up her life. Or that if it comes to a point where they come to me and they say, hey, listen, this is what happened and I didn't tell you because I was scared of what would happen, but now everything is over and my heart is broken, that I would tuck away the feelings that I had as a parent, where I'm just like, oh my God, my baby was going through all of this and they didn't tell me anything. And I would sit down with my child and be like, you know what? Let's experience this. Let me tell you my experience and the fact that I know what you're going through right now. And I only hope that you believe me when I tell you that this is not it. This is not the end of the world. Okay, this is not the end of your love life. This is not the end of anything. I just really hope that you didn't give up any parts of yourself that you can't get back. And if you did, I am so sorry that you are feeling this loss, because that's what it is. You're losing more than yourself. You're losing more than a person. You're losing a part of yourself. Teens nowadays have this pressure to be cool because for some reason having feelings isn't cool. I don't know when that was just not cool. Feeling a loss, you got TV shows that portray like kids that don't want to admit that like their mom died or something like that, because now you're going to be made fun of and be labeled a kid who lost his mom. It's like, what the fuck? Since when is somebody losing their mom and being an orphan funny? I know I'm laughing right now, but when the hell was that made to be funny? Because it's not. Being poor is not funny. Being sick is not funny or embarrassing. None of these things are things to laugh at. And for some reason, the way that the media portrays, and again, I only have my experience as a teenager myself and whatever media puts out there, because I don't have teenagers at home, and it's been a few years since I've been a teenager myself. But see, that experience that I'm telling you guys about, that was not my first time with my mom stepping into a situation where I felt like I liked somebody, and I was scared to tell my mom about it because I knew that she would come in like a tomahawk and just get in the middle of that. I wanted to trust my mom with these things, but my mom was more concerned with, I don't want to say that she was more concerned with her betrayal, because I wasn't betraying her, but I feel like her anger came in the sense of, I don't want you to experience this. I want you to be smarter about this, because this person can potentially hurt you. Or maybe even this person could take you away from me and then I'll be alone. Or even, oh my God, my daughter's growing up and I don't see it. Or even if my daughter's already grown up, she's still a kid. She doesn't know what this is. Now, I get that. As a parent, I get that. My daughters, they're growing up. They're growing up so fast, and I'm doing my best. Like when I braid my daughter's hair, I don't even add in hair. I know there are a lot of people who do, and there is nothing wrong with that. I want to be very clear. There is nothing wrong with adding hair to your child's hair, letting them put colors or anything like that. For me, I would like my daughters to understand. I don't want to do anything that might even speed up the growing up process. You see a lot of girls nowadays, a lot of teenagers nowadays, with the clickety-clacky, my nails are so long, and I've got fake eyelashes, and doing all that stuff. And yeah, you're exploring yourself, but you're also making yourself look older, and for what? A lot of girls want to be older than they really are so they can explore things that they ain't got no business exploring. I miss the feeling of being a teenager where when you were with a boy that you liked, holding hands was like, oh my God, this is exhilarating. Kissing or making out with no pressure for sex was like, oh my God, this is spine tingling. Going out together was like the only time that you guys could see each other outside of school, if y'all even went to the same school. So like going out was like a must. Let's go hang out in the park. Let's go, I'll pay for your McDonald's or whatever. That shit, I miss it. And I desperately, now I want to be very clear, that is not something that I really experienced. Absolutely nobody took me out on dates in high school. Nobody paid for my McDonald's. Nobody did any of that shit. But the thought of crushing on a boy or, anything like that, and it was simple. There was no sex involved. There was no my place or yours. There was no any of that. I miss that. When I got into my relationship with my partner, with my kid's dad, I was 18 years old, and he was older than me. He was the age that I am now, and no judgment. He did not know I was this age, because referencing my previous statement, all girls want to be older for absolutely no fucking reason. So for a while there, I didn't tell him how old I was. He assumed I was older because I was bartending. When it came down to it, then there was like this whole, I don't want to be involved with you because you're still very young. Now, because of my glittering personality and my fantastic package that I present, I wore him down after a very long time. But I played my place. We didn't even kiss until like the third official date. I never made a move on him. I was never salacious. I was always appropriately dressed. And I, at the time, it was like, oh my God, when am I going to introduce him to my mom? And can he come over? And the door has to be open and all this other stuff. And it wasn't until I was dating him that I kind of got thrust into the adult world, because I was like, okay, he's not a kid. He's not fascinated by the same things that I am. And at the time, I was very much so into 50 Shades of Grey, and I was reading a bunch of shit that honestly I had no business imitating, but that I used as like, oh my God, this is like a fantastic love story. Obviously, I have to act like this now. Which set the tone for a relationship that honestly I wish it hadn't. But There were, my mom got in the middle of that too and was just like, nah, this isn't cool. And I tried very hard to be respectful, but at that point I was already an adult and I was like, this right here is why I don't trust you. You don't let me make my own mistakes. You've let me experience heartbreak by myself. And every daughter should be able to go to her mother and be like, Mom, I'm hurting right now. How did you make it? How did you do this? Being a teenager is so much pressure. It is so much pressure. My God. I don't even... Being a teenager, I remember I hated it. Being an adult isn't any better, but being a teenager is so hard. You got the pressure of friends. You're experiencing heartbreak, something that you've never experienced before, and that shit feels like you can't breathe. It feels like somebody's sitting on your chest, and I can't promise that it gets better as an adult because it really doesn't. You just learn how to handle it better, and you understand the shit that, as a teenager, when you're experiencing heartbreak, you can stay in your bed for a week, and maybe your parents are wondering what's going on, and it's like, all right, whatever. But as an adult, you have to experience that heartbreak. You have to experience the trauma of being an adult, and you have to keep going. Something nobody's going to tell you, you have to keep going. Life doesn't stop because you want to. But as a kid, you don't understand that yet. Without a parent to trust and go to and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Mom, how the hell did you make it? Dad, how the hell did you keep going to school knowing this is happening? And we need to show this to our kids. We need to be somebody that our teenagers can trust, because mental health, this struggle starts then. It starts with all the hormones and all the insecurity and all the lack of confidence. And then you don't even know what to call this that you're feeling, and having to experience that by yourself. As adults, we have resources, we have TV shows, we have everything. But kids have to go to school. They have to learn life skills. They have the pressure of needing to be somebody. The pressure of having people around them who are going to input their opinion nonstop. And another thing that I would like to say for my teenagers, for parents of teenagers specifically, you don't understand. Why is it that you don't remember that when you were a teenager, your friends are your everything? The perfect depiction of that, if anybody has seen Turning Red, May tells her mom, oh, what calms down my panda is that I think about the people that I love the most, and that's you guys. She lying. Lion OD. Okay? She thinks of her friends. When I was a kid and my mom didn't like my best friend, that was devastating to me, because I spent all of my time talking to my best friend. I told her everything. She was my walking diary. We hung out together. If we saw each other in the hallway in between classes, and my mom just made it clear, I don't like your friend, so I'm going to make sure that you are not, there is no way for you to be friends with this person. No, you can't hang out after school. No, you can't hang out, to go hang out on the weekends. No, you can't go over to her house because I don't like her. When I was texting her, I had to text her on the low, because if my mom wanted to know who I was texting, it would turn into this whole eye rolling thing because I was texting my friend. Man, and I lived in an era where, and I had other friends that my mom didn't like, that, we would talk on the house phone, okay? And this is before I could really talk on my cell phone. So if my mom didn't like my friend, talking on the house phone was hard as shit, I promise you, because she could listen in on the conversation, or that's the person that you talk to when you got problems at home. You don't like your mom, you don't like your dad, you don't like what they're doing, this is the person that you talk to. You are spending all your time with this person who is going through the exact same shit you are. Your kids' friends, that's not to say that do not have a concern if your, kids' friends are dirtbags or getting them into trouble. I understand that. But putting a brick wall between your kid and their friends because you don't understand why they want to spend more time with their friends than they do with you, It's for the same reason why people want to hang out, or when you look at people who are dating, it's like, why are you dating someone so much older than you? You don't have anything. Like, kids being friends with adults is weird. It most certainly is. Now, that's not to say it doesn't happen. Correction. It shouldn't happen. I was about to say that as a kid, I was friends with adults. That's not what it was. Now, as an adult, I understand that I related better to adults and I had decent conversations with adults, but I was never going to hit up my teacher, hit up Miss Zaphos and be like, hey, girl, my mom just yelled at me. Can I come over to your crib? It was not like that. It was like, I would show up to class early or stay late to talk with her because we had good conversation. And I felt more comfortable talking to adults than I did kids my age. But don't do that to your kids, man. Don't. Teenagers are already going through so much shit. And then you want to go ahead and get in the middle of that because you think that you know it all? You think that your experience will be theirs? It's not. Now, this goes both ways. Teenagers, kids, they think they fucking know it all. They think they're so special. And it's like, what? What makes you the person that is not going to be kidnapped by this scam that's been run for 70 years? And then boom, you're a Law and Order episode. But all of this stems from not trusting your parents in the first place. Not wanting to disappoint your parents. If you do trust them, because there are people all the time that say, well, my kid trusts me. We talk about everything from boys and blah, blah, and all this stuff. Sure, maybe they trust you. But they don't want to disappoint you. And that's the second piece of that. Your children should not be afraid to disappoint you. I mean, if they disappoint you, fine, they disappoint you. But they shouldn't be so afraid to disappoint you that they risk themselves and their mental health because they're afraid that your disappointment will be so big that it'll consume them. We got a long way to go. I know that I put up a podcast not too long ago about how, people will say all the time that you should just let your kids be free and let them do all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, no, I'm a parent. I'm going to tell you what's best for you. But at the same time, it is a balance. Everything in life is a balance. When you're driving, you don't just let go of the wheel and let that shit go one way. You have to kind of left, right, left, right, left, right a little bit. You do need to give your child boundaries. You do need to give them guidelines, but don't stifle them and make them treat them like adults when they disappoint you or get mad at them for exploring what's best for them, because the reality is what you need to do is be there for your kids when they're hurt. Not yell at them for how they, how their own decisions fucked up everything in their life now because they already know that. That's something that they're already choosing to live with. They have to live with the fact that whatever they're going through right now, they did to themselves. And had they just listened to mom or dad, it wouldn't have happened. Take care of your teenagers, guys. And for those of us like me that don't have teenagers yet, please don't forget what it was like. And if you, for some reason, had a decent existence and didn't go through anything, don't assume that that's the same thing's going to happen to your kid. The generation moving forward, the teenagers of the past 5 years have already been through some shit. Look at what's going on. You got kids going to school and not coming back home. You got kids in the 7th grade overdosing on fentanyl. You got kids that are 12 killing themselves because they can't handle the pressure. And their parents like, oh God, why me? Why didn't I know? Yeah, because you weren't fucking paying attention. Because your kid couldn't trust you. Because your kid didn't want to live with your disappointment. Are there exceptions out there where kids are just genuine assholes that don't want to trust anybody? Yes. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. So with that being said, I hope that everybody here has a fabulous weekend. I am a veteran, and let me just say that on Memorial Day, I don't want anybody to say that it is my day. It is not. It is for the fallen brothers and sisters. My day is Veterans Day. Okay, so let's go ahead and remember that. And next time we talk to military personnel of any kind, and I will commemorate that on Monday. But let's just go ahead with that one. Everybody enjoy your long weekend. Take some time with your family. Take some time with your kids. And remember that saying that you can, if you just sit down and tell your kid, you can trust me, I won't get mad. That's not how trust is built. It is a long road. And it takes a lot of no's to get to a yes sometimes. Excuse me. Forgive the long episode. Everybody, take care. I will talk to you guys on Monday.